On today's episode of The Loud Quiet, sharing emotional pain in the empty nest.
Hey, buddy, welcome back to the Loud, Quiet, Empty Nest Living. I want to say a thank you to those of y'all that have participated in the Facebook group. It is the Loud, Quiet, Empty Nest Living. There's some good conversations that are going to take place there, and there's a lot of things that we're going to learn from each other in that group. And so I thank y'all who have been a part of that. And for those who haven't had the chance to join yet, you'll see in the show notes a link to be able to join that Facebook group. And we would love to have y'all participate in the Loud, Quiet, Empty Nest Living Facebook group.
Yes, this episode, it may get a little raw, just nothing, dramatic or crazy going on. Well, I guess depending on your definition of dramatic and crazy. But we wanted to talk about disruption of schedules, and not even schedules, just disruption of life. We were out of town last weekend. We had planned for this weekend to celebrate my birthday. We are in the family birthday season right now. It kicks off in March. So we had planned on a nice dinner out with Tanner Saturday night. If any of y'all are Dallas people, Dakota's is the restaurant downtown that you go down the elevator. Very nice place. Rick hadn't been back there in years.
Well, I told the server when he asked, "Have y'all been here before?" Mm-hmm. I said, "Yes. Lunch in 1995."
Yeah. To which he said, "I wasn't even born yet." So I had booked it, and it was going to be a good night out. I was so looking forward to just chilling my birthday weekend. I like to do nothing. And then the Thursday night before all of that, we had something brought to our attention that then changed our plans.
Yeah, I got a call from my sister. And if you've been a long-time listener, you know that I have a 100-year-old grandmother. And Nana had a few health incidents that we were made aware of. And there was some awareness that, how did I say it to you? That, well, she's probably entered the glide slope. We just don't know how steep the angle is. And it changed what we had planned, because you start to realize, oh, our visit at the end of the month might not be soon enough.
Well, we were going off the advice of the hospice nurse.
Now, for those that aren't aware, hospice is not sort of a automatic, you've got 2-3 days kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We know that President Carter was on it for years. My mom was on it for a year and a half. So it just changes the perception of how you care for someone at that stage of life. In this case, though, there were some signs that were showing us that it might make sense for us to do something that we hadn't planned, and that was get to Austin right away.
At least we did get to have our dinner, but then we were up the next morning in the car driving to Austin. We were trying to make plans for the kids to have another visit if they chose to. They had a great visit with her at Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So by no means we were not putting any pressure on them.
No, because you think a little bit, that might be the memory that they would prefer to have. And that's great. She's always been such a giving and thinking of others kind of person, perhaps to some self-sacrifice, right, at times. And that she would never want that kind of pressure on them. No. But we knew that things were changing and they were unlikely to get better. So let's see what a visit with Nana could be like if we impulsively, let's just get down there.
Yes. And so we did. And again, I'm going to be very transparent and very vulnerable with my feelings. I didn't want to do that on my birthday. Monday was my birthday. The last thing I wanted to be doing was riding in the car back from Austin when we had just already been somewhere. I looked at the month of March as, this is the month that we didn't have any big trips planned until the later in the month. So I was really just looking forward to being in our space and doing what I want to do, which may to some of y'all sound very selfish and straight up. bitch-like attitude, but I'm just being honest. This also goes into, since last May, when my mom passed away, our life has been 50 to 75% ruled by getting through all of the things that came with that. I felt like that ruled our conversations, that ruled our schedules. We literally just wrapped up this stuff in February. It was like we had 2 weeks of, and now we will be involved in some things again. When we got home Monday, you were reading text messages, and I was like, I'm not going to be a straight up rude person, but I didn't want to hear it. It was my birthday. I didn't get to do how I wanted to spend my day. I was going to go get a pedicure. I was going to go, to my gym. I didn't get to do those things. I am a loving, supporting spouse and will always be, but I didn't want to hear any more about it for that day.
Yeah. There's almost nothing that I can say, right? Because I understand. And you have been that loving, supportive spouse. There's no way that I would sit here and say, well, Clancy, you're kind of wrong. Yeah, guess what? Sometimes life does do this to us. It does change our schedules. I didn't want to be driving to Austin. I knew you had that pedicure planned. I knew you had all of that in mind. I didn't want any of that to happen. I do, at the risk of being somewhat raw here too, though, I do feel like I didn't know that. And maybe I should have picked up on that a little faster. When I was reading those texts, I saw it because it's clear in my mind. You were sitting at the dinner table. The text came in. I read it. I saw no reaction from you, which is very rare for you. No reaction. Then it was like, all right, I get it. We're done here. I'm not even going to mention it.
I love Nana. I love Nana. I mean, love her. I love your family. All I could think about is, oh my gosh, here we go again for the next how many ever months. This is going to now be our life again. And my time will come because I have parents that are still with us.
Mm-hmm. I think this is interesting for us to almost explore real time here, because I don't know that we've talked about this specifically until we're sitting here behind the mic. And I think that's hard for me to hear, because I don't want to be even an indirectly source of pain or frustration for you. I don't always know that you're in pain or frustrated. And it's hard to hear that after the fact, when I could have either adapted behavior or just at least been more aware and cognizant of.
And I'm sure there's people that are listening. They're like, oh my gosh, just no, don't be like that. But
I'm not one of them.
No, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I think what really irritates me and what gets me riled up is there's a lot of things going on that just aren't fair. Some things have fallen to certain people that certain people should not be having to do. And I don't like it. And it's not my place to say anything, because this is not my core family. This is my extended family, but I can support this person as much as I can.
Yeah. And you're not talking about me there. And I know what you're saying. And I hate to do that to y'all, but sometimes our stories aren't ours to tell outside of here. But I understand that frustration. Think about all the frustrations you just said. You don't like witnessing things that are unfair. You've talked about this on this before. Birthdays matter to you. And they don't necessarily matter that lavish me with gifts or anything like that, but you've always been such a giver to others' birthdays that when you have it in your mind that this is what my birthday is going to be, yours, Clancy, that And then we use the phrase disruptive. I mean, this got blown up. We're talking about the fear of someone on the path to passing. Well, that's a massive disruption. And that conflict in your head, I can understand why that would be a frustration.
Well, yes, and even to the point that I was like, please, Nana, don't die on my birthday, because we already had your mom passed on Tanner's graduation, and so that day will forever be burned into our head. And I was like, please don't pass on my birthday, because I just don't want my birthday associated with pain for anyone. I love birthdays. I don't necessarily care about my own, but I always go all out for everyone else's. I do like to make them special. For me, I just want, I almost just want my time.
I don't want you to feel like you shouldn't be allowed to care about your birthday. And I don't think you do. I think you do care about your birthday. It's just different. You want your time, your choices, your space. Can I go back to, and I'm not trying to interview you here.
I think I've been pretty open and answered, so I don't know what you're about to ask, but okay.
Well, the communication part of it. How could we have done better about the communication? How could I have done better knowing what you needed on the birthday in the midst of that disruption?
There was really nothing. I mean, we were literally getting up in Austin, going to see Nana, and getting on the road to come home. I think one thing, and I'll just tell you, but again, I didn't want to make a fuss about anything because of what we had just done.
But I'm asking the question.
Right. You know, I heard you say to Nana's healthcare worker, she said something about, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, well, we have leftover pizza, so we're just going home to have leftover pizza. I was like, yay. Which
now, so this is good, right? Because in my mind, I thought the last thing you'd want to do was go out.
I would not want to go out.
To have even to think about what might be brought in or any of that.
You know what? Here, I'll just tell you. I think it would have been nice. And again, you weren't thinking about this because we were just trying to get home so we could start all over for this week. I think maybe it would have been nice as, would you like to pick up blah on the way home or something? But that wasn't offered, and I wasn't going to ask because if I really want something, I will ask and do it. My goal was getting home and starting the chores that I needed to do to get ready for the week.
I'm glad I asked so that I can know that in the future. You know, this is such old school communication kind of discussions, right? The mind reading just doesn't work. And I was choosing what I chose for that evening, not out of lack of concern for you, but actually out of a sincere belief that that's what you wanted. And that shows the disconnect. I believed that's what you wanted. You believed that you didn't want to say anything because you knew everything was going on, whereas I would have been more than happy to pick something because honestly, the pizza wasn't all that great. There's an example, right? Even after almost 25 years of marriage, we're still figuring out how to communicate with each other. And as we go through this empty nest phase where there's some serious things that are happening, even that we'll continue to learn how to get better at.
Yeah, and again, I think the difference is because I am not shy to ask what I want for and to say, we're doing this.
No.
I think it was just the situation was just a little different this time.
You know, this one hurts, though. When you have a 100-year-old grandmother, you know that every second is precious. But when you have a 100-year-old grandmother who seems to be pretty vibrant, is able to, have the normal conversations. Maybe she's not as physically mobile as she used to be or those sorts of things. You aren't presented with that end stage quite as directly as, well, when you are presented with it. And when you're told, hey, we think that hospice is the choice, well, then you realize it. And then after seeing Nana and recognizing the change that she'd gone through in 2 weeks, this one hurts.
Yeah. I mean, the keys finally had to be taken away from her, 95? She was
yeah.
still driving.
Yeah.
So there's a physical difference in just
I
2
know.
weeks when we saw her. So you do know that the decline is happening. Like you said, we just don't know at what pace that decline is going to happen.
And I've referred to her as sort of the matriarch of the family. Activities that I remember going to when I was growing up centered around Nana. I remember being with Nana when my parents would travel overseas. She would keep us. And I remember those moments. I remember the Christmas Eves at her house. I remember even Easters when we would do them there. What's it going to look like when the matriarch, when you can run up the top of the pyramid and go to an individual, well, when that individual isn't there, you start to come face to face with the reality of those memories and that you won't be adding to those memories. I mean, even as we would visit her, what did I say? Every single time we'd get a new story from her. Mm-hmm. Every single time. And she's someone that I imagine a lot of folks are proud of their grandparents. I'm extremely proud of her. She was remarkably progressive for her time and what she was willing to do as a woman as she was growing up, the jobs that she chose, the leadership that she chose, the travel that she chose, she was a remarkable person. She was a remarkable woman, and I'm thankful that Tegan has remarkable women in her life to continue to have as role models. But it will be sad when Nana is not one of those, other than past memories.
Last year we were all like, she's got to make it to 100. She's got to make it to 100 because we wanted to have the big party, which we did. And then after that, you just think, okay, she's just going to live. The woman's 100.
I know. This is way deeper than I think I have the power to go to in this episode. But what is it about death that we know? There is nothing more certain than that. It will happen to every single person that has.
That is the one thing in life that is certain is death.
You tend to just compartmentalize.
I have a lot of respect for hospice nurses and people in the hospice area because they tend to just know, especially the ones that have been doing it for a long time. They almost just have a sixth sense that they know what's coming.
It's a lot to process. And I'm thankful that you're sitting here going through that on your birthday and all of that, and having to have done this for the last year. I will say this, though. You've given me a role model of how to do this when the tables are turned. So I guess I could say continue to do such great things, because then you know that you can expect that. Because I'm going to be copying and modeling what I do after what I see out of you as a supportive spouse.
Yeah, and again, this is a reminder to all of our listeners. Just please make sure you have all of your stuff yours. Talk to your parents if they are still living. Just make sure everyone has their stuff together and available where someone can find it. We were very fortunate with your mom's passing that one...
It forced everybody's hand.
Well, one, we had Jerry, who had already started and had already been through this process before with his first wife. But we also had the luxury that you and your sister have a good relationship.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that caused any strife between siblings. And I assume that will be the case with my family.
Seems that way.
I've talked to several people who that is not the case. I know the way I'm feeling right now, and it's just, I can't imagine doing that when you have a poor relationship with the people that you're trying to get through this with.
Yeah, navigating grief and conflict at the same time, not a good combo.
So hopefully this wasn't like too big of a wah-wah episode, but not everything is sunshine and roses.
No, it's not, because you know what? On
Tuesday I was
pissed off. I was grumpy on Tuesday. I told you that. And I didn't really have words behind it. I think now I got words behind it. So you're right. Not everything is sunshine.
I say it every time. When the time change happens, our bodies are ready for the change and the season, and you throw in the full moon, and all of those things I think add up. And yes, I was in a funk as well. Springing that 1 hour and losing that hour, it does something to your body. I don't know. And the older you get, it makes it worse. I'm still today not in the best place, but I'm just looking forward to hopefully having a weekend coming up that maybe we don't have
Yeah.
to hop in the car and go anywhere. So yes, so I don't know if anyone else has been in a funk out there. This is real life. This is empty nest living. When you used to think that it was your children that disrupted your schedules, they don't. Now it's your parents, your grandparents. I never once thought about that when we were younger. And so I'm sure there are some of you that are going through similar things that we've shared. You know, this is a painful topic. It is a emotional topic. It is showing vulnerability. We would love to hear your stories. Share with us on our Facebook group, The Loud Quiet, Empty Nest Living. We'll put the link in the show notes and share with others. If you have friends that are empty nesters going through similar things, we'd love to add to that group so we can really become a community of support for each other.
Yeah, I think we all could use some element of support. I'm feeling it now, and I'm thankful for your support, and I'm going to be thankful for the support of that group and other groups that help us in this stage of life.
Yes. Well, there you go. Thanks for listening to The Loud Quiet.